Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sip and Chats for November the 2nd. Um, this is going to be a really special podcast, personal and everything, like it always is. And as always, if you're new to Love Marlene 411, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, like, share this out. I'd really appreciate it. And while I am waiting for my co host to join me, Miss Nexie, I have to say thank you to everybody who has been watching. I really do appreciate each and every one of you that watches these podcasts every single week. So the question always is for the sip and chat, what y'all sipping on tonight? Um, as you can see from my avatar picture where I'm about to show it, um, that's what I'm drinking tonight. Tonight I am having the Shaka Tea Hawaii Island Vibes Mango Hibiscus drink. Um, there's no sugar in here, no caffeine. This isn't really an exciting one, but I'm trying to keep my carbs down and stay away from all of the extra stuff. I like it because it's no sugar in it. It's a herbal drink with hibiscus and it's sweetened with monk fruit. So maybe too much information, but anybody who likes tea without all that sugary stuff, yeah, that's for you. So welcome everybody to the Sip and Chat. I appreciate you all being here. So, on today's discussion, I'm going to be talking about therapy, life after therapy, actually. That's the true topic of tonight for the Sip and Chat and personal view, like the things that I had to go through and how my life has been, how my life has improved. Um, But let's start off first by saying, this is not um, advice. I'm not telling anybody what to do or to think. Everybody, as always, has the opportunity to choose whether they want to go to therapy or not. My reason was many. I had many reasons for making the decision that I made for going to therapy. I had a lot of things going on in my childhood that happened to me all the way up into my teens to my early 20s. I had a lot of issues and traumas that caused me to think that I had no alternative but to go to therapy. Now, I'm going to preface this conversation by saying, for those of you who don't know the former me, I had a lot of anger issues. I was very negative, jealous about everything that everybody had. I wanted what everybody had. I wanted to have everybody else's life. I was just miserable, unhappy, and it wasn't all my doing, but a lot of it was because I had a lot of anger issues, and my anger issues stemmed from jealousy, and the jealousy stemmed from me not being accountable. And I can say for me, when I finally made the decision to actually go to therapy, that's a whole thing. I can say from in my community how I was raised and in urban communities, maybe in all communities, but in my local urban community, it was very looked down on to go to therapy. It was always looked at like, if you go to therapy, something is wrong with you, you're crazy, and all of your family has to be crazy because nobody actually needs therapy. And For me, I was a person, I was at a space in my life that if I did not go to therapy, I am 100% sure I would not be here anymore. So, for me, my personal view, not saying everybody, but for me, I know that therapy saved my life. It gave me the thought that hope actually does exist for me, that I don't have to settle anymore. I can find um, the the tools that will help me to cope with life. A lot of times we don't know anything about coping with life because we just think that our life is just so miserable because we were around miserable people. And I'm here to say, anybody who needs to hear it, if you've been through a lot of things, if you're too sad, too angry, if you don't have the coping skills, if you feel sad, there's nothing wrong with going to see somebody and talk to somebody about your personal issues. For myself, I know that if I did not go and speak to someone about the many things that I was dealing with, DV situations, SM situation, um, lots of things, childhood traumas. It's like everything in my life was just all stacked up. It was all piling up, all the pain, all the anger, all the frustration, all the sadness, all everything. Everybody who had disappointed me, all the feelings that I had about my parents, my siblings, um, my SM situation, um, my DV situation, a lot of things that have happened to me because I didn't face anything and I put it on a shelf. I ignored it. I I poured myself into work. For me, that was the way that I coped with my life. My coping mechanism was to ignore it, because when something is so painful, it's like it's so much easier to ignore what you have been through. It's so much easier to ignore something that has happened to you than to actually have the conversations and to say out of your mouth, something is wrong. Not that something is wrong with me, but something is wrong, why I can't control my anger, why I am sad so often, why I have a hard time trusting anyone, trusting um, friends, trusting in a relationship. And if we don't get to the bottom of why we are hurting, if we don't get to the bottom of why we are sad, then the whole situation just continues on and on, without let up. So anybody who is thinking or is kind of wondering what it's like, going to therapy, I'm going to start off this conversation by saying, for me, I think the biggest issue was just allowing myself, just saying that I think we need to talk to somebody. I think we need to just talk to somebody. And I thought maybe, one or two sessions and I should be good. But once I got in the therapy session and I had the initial consultation, like, I told my therapist, some of the things that I wanted to resolve, some of the coping skills that I needed, which I lacked, which some of them was learning how to control my anger, not feeling a low sense of being because of what other people thought of me and what other people were saying about me, and how do I let it not affect me and make me feel sad, depressed, angry. So the therapy that I thought I only was going to need one or two sessions of it actually turned out to be from 2 sessions to 7 years. I needed I needed all of those 7 years, honestly. And from time to time, I do go back to get follow up when, like, I get follow up like maybe a month before some of my triggering moments, like when I have the, like, close to the date of some triggering events that happened to me in the past. So I do go back and have conversations and check on my own self and make sure that I'm still staying the course. So it's not something that you go and you have 1 or 2 sessions of therapy and you're fixed and you're healed. It's a work in progress. It's something that you do so that you can be a better person, not only for your loved ones, but for you. And if more people really would understand what therapy actually can do. And I've heard this, more than one time in my life, that therapy is not good. Therapy makes you crazy, or therapy is just for people who have, some mental illness or something like that. No, therapy really does help. And I can say therapy will help when you are in that space to want to be helped. That's one thing that I realized for myself, that I wasn't in the I wasn't in the mode in the beginning to actually want help. When I first went to therapy, a traumatic event just had happened in my life, and I was in such a broken state of mind that I had isolated myself, and all was doing was just staying by myself, um, basically crying. I had taken a break from working. Actually, I couldn't work because I just was not mentally stable at the time. My life really consists of me just being at home, feeling sorry for myself, and crying throughout the day, and feeling sorry for myself and feeling like a nobody. And because I wasn't letting myself, go out, talk to anybody, it became, I got myself wrapped up in a cycle of my own suffering, because I I wouldn't talk to anybody, because I was holding everything in, because I always thought that it was something wrong to say you need help. And I'm here to advocate for therapy and to let everybody know that it's nothing wrong with getting therapy. It's nothing wrong with talking to someone. It's nothing wrong with needing to talk to somebody. It's nothing wrong with being being vulnerable and opening up. And I will tell you that the reason why I felt like it was so necessary for me to talk to a therapist is because we will have people in our life that actually do care about us. And you could talk to them about it, but unless somebody has been trained to give you the life skills to help you to get through it without judgment. And a lot of times, the people that we know, they will pass judgments against you. They'll treat you differently than they would if you just talk to a therapist. And for myself, I didn't want other people in my family, my relatives, to know my personal business. When you go through certain situations, there's certain things that is like private, or you may feel embarrassed and you don't want anybody else to know. So me having somebody who was outside of all of that really helped me, because they weren't judging me. I didn't feel like I was weird or strange. I just felt like I was finally giving myself the permission to admit it. And I think that that was the biggest thing for me to actually say that I was a victim of a few things in my life. I was a victim of crime. I was a victim of pain. I was a victim of trauma, of DV situation, of SM situation, of many different things, and traumas throughout my childhood. All of those things happened to me. And when you allow yourself to say those things out of your mouth, you give yourself, like, I felt like I was standing up for myself for the first time. It's like not living in the age that you were traumatized at. Like if something happened to you at 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, whatever age you were when something traumatic happened to you, or tragic, you stay there until you talk through it. Because we can tell ourselves, oh, I'm fine, nothing has happened to me, I'm doing just fine. But really, a lot of times we aren't. It's just something that we say to ourselves because we don't want to admit, because we don't want to talk about it, because we want to cover up the pain, because we don't want other people to know. But every single person, I believe, has been through something hard, tough, traumatic, sad. And if you don't have the conversations, if you don't talk about it, you're going to live in that traumatic age of whatever happened to you. And that's one of the reasons why I got the help, because I was having problems coping with my inner child. It's like I was stuck from my first trauma that happened to me. I was stuck at 7 years old. And that's the reason why I always was like, I would look at somebody and be jealous. I was acting like the age I was when I was violated. I was acting like the age that I was when trauma happened to me. And until you let yourself say it out loud, this happened to me, and I'm not going to let what happened to me control me any longer. I'm not going to let what happened to me be the end of the chapter. I was learning that I had tools now that I could write the next part of my story of my life. When things happen to us in our life, it's like they take our power away. They take our control. They step on our worth, our self esteem. And if you don't check that, if you don't get to the solutions and find out that, and tell yourself, this was not me, it was not my fault. Because for a long time, I was constantly telling myself over and over again, if you only had did this, and what if you had did that, and what about this person if you weren't there. So you start to blame yourself for things that you had no control over. Or even if it was something that you know you did that was wrong, we do have to learn to ways to cope and forgive ourselves, and to give ourselves the permission to let that go, to forgive, to heal, and to move on. And I am so grateful for therapy, because therapy helped me to stop blaming everybody else, and stop blaming myself too. So it did a dual purpose for me. I was able to uh, get my power back by admitting what happened to me, um, finding ways to let go and forgive the offender or the person that hurt me, and also to not to continue to bring my past into my present, because that was my issue. I was carrying around so much weight on my head and in my heart. It's like when you keep a painful secret, painful memories, tragic and traumatic things that are so hard to cope with. And if you never find a way to stop punishing yourself. So I say to anybody who is punishing themselves, anybody who is feels like you don't have any power anymore, you feel like I'm just so sad, I can't handle this pain, it's just too much for me. You don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to be miserable. You don't have to be sad. You don't have to anything. The most important thing is that you get peace of mind. You allow yourself to get your power back. You forgive whoever hurt you, and you also forgive yourself, and then now you have the tools to move forward. For me, I couldn't complete things, I couldn't complete tasks, I couldn't deal with certain individuals because they triggered me back to my past because of the things that my the persons who hurt me, what they did to me. It's like I always was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was always waiting for someone to come in and hurt me again, just like I had been hurt. So it's like you can't do anything in your life because you're always waiting for the next person. Okay, who's going to hurt me now? It's like you can't trust anybody. And when you cannot trust other individuals that have nothing to do with your past situation, you're already sabotaging great relationships, business ventures, and just living life in general. And I didn't want to be a victim anymore. I wanted to get my power back. And I'm so grateful for therapy and for what therapy did for me. Therapy definitely helped me to get my power back. It helped me to be strong, to be stronger than I have ever been in my entire life. For the first time in my life, I felt like after I had a conversation about uh, two situations that happened to me when I was um, below the age of 10. It was like the first time in my life I actually had admitted it and said it out loud. And when we do that, we for me, I felt like I didn't have to hold it in anymore. I could let go of the shame and the guilt. I could stop blaming myself. I could stop being angry because it was out there now. It wasn't hidden anymore. It wasn't something that I had to be ashamed of. I didn't have to be sad because I was a victim of a crime. And when we take our power back like that and you have these conversations, the person who hurt you, the person who did whatever was done to you, it's not that you're saying what happened to you was right. It's saying that now I'm not a victim. Now I have my power. Now I can move forward in loving myself and getting into life. And for myself, I can't speak for everybody, but it wasn't until I let myself release it. Until I let myself say, we're not going to be angry anymore. We're not going to be sad anymore. We're not going to play the victim role, because I didn't want to be a victim anymore. I wanted to have my power. I wanted to feel strong. I wanted to be able to go out again without fear. I wanted to be able to trust other people without always having the thoughts in my mind that they're going to do something to me to hurt me, that other people cannot be trusted. And also for me, I was tired of being the angry person. And for me also, I was tired of having the role of being the angry black woman, because that's just what I was. I was angry at my situation, at my life, and things that had happened to me. Until you say that out loud, until you forgive the people who offended you, you're going to stay there and make your life miserable, when we have the ability to control and change it. And I had to learn that I had the opportunity to change my life, and each of us can. We each have the opportunity to change our life, to change our outlook, change our attitude, um, change our circle of friends, what we can do with our life. See, a lot of things are not possible for us when we're sad, mad, angry, um, and don't have the tools to know how to move forward. When awful things happen to us, it does something when we finally can release that, and someone will say back to you, "I'm sorry that happened to you." For many of us, we never get that sort of those sort of words, like to comfort us, so that our healing process can begin. And there's a lot of traumatic things that happen to so many of us, and it really does do something from the inside of you when somebody says to you, "I'm sorry that happened to you." And how did that make you feel? And how did it make you feel when you didn't have support, or how did you feel when this person did X, Y, and Z to you? And what would you like to get from what happened to you? And that's not something that I really thought about before therapy. I never thought about that I could have an amazing life, that I could start my own business, that I could be feel confident enough to look at myself and not hate myself. For many a year, I used to look at myself in the mirror and hate the person that was looking back at me. I always would say things like, I was ugly and nobody would want me. I'm not a good person, because those are the things that were told to me from my childhood up until the time that I was in my 20s. And how do you shift that? People always say you should love yourself, but how can you love yourself when you hated your situation and the people that are around you are negative, mean, hurtful, even evil, in fact? So it's all of those things. So let's welcome Nexie, my co-host, to the show.
Hello, Marlene.
Hi,
How are you today?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you
Ah,
so much.
I'm so sorry I had you wait. I was going each and every way to get phone calls and then
That's
go see
okay.
my granddaughter. But what is the topic today?
Yeah, today we're talking about life after therapy.
Oh, wow. You want to continue yours or should I
Oh,
go in and
you
go
you
and
you can start, because
okay.
I've been talking for 30 minutes, so it's your
So
turn.
sorry.
It's okay.
um, yeah, I've said this before on your
Oh, I'm
platform.
sorry, Nexie. I didn't do it right. I should have said, "Hey, Nexie, welcome to Sip and Chat. What are you sipping?"
Right now, just water, Marlene. Just plain, simple water.
Okay.
with
I
eyes.
you can see what I'm sipping. I made it my avatar.
Oh my goodness. Let me see that. Let me
That's
see what she
that's a
has made.
that's a mango
Oh,
hibiscus tea.
oh, you and your teas.
Yeah, I love tea.
Oh my God. Yeah, yeah, tea is, and we have so many shops here that it's amazing. You're gonna love it. There's so many.
Good,
That
good.
looks good though. Ooh, nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Anyway, like I said, I've said it here before in your platform that I only went to therapy because it was a requirement, right? I had no idea, even though I had a lot of things that scare me. I had a lot of fears. I had a lot of unresolved issues. I never thought of therapy at all in my family, in my country. Sometimes that's frowned upon, like it's taboo. It's something that you don't do, and if you do, you don't say it. You just keep it to yourself, right? But when I started the therapy, it was to get a certain goal, certain hours that I needed it for school. But I had no idea, like serious thought or idea that I was that broken. I the brokenness that my mother left when that she left when she went away, and she left me with my dad and my siblings. I had never dealt with it because in my mind it was not an issue, and other things. But as I started working on myself in that way, that person that surfaced from all of that work, because it was a lot of years and a lot of hours of work, it's a completely different person, someone that is more secure, someone that is more certain of the things that she likes and she wants. And I'm saying it like in a third person, right? But I'm more sure of what I like, what I want. I am more confident in the things that I can do. I'm more confident as a mom. As a daughter, I became more confident as that, as a sister, auntie, everything else, just came out of me without any fears. I don't know if that happened to you.
Yes, I was talking about that a little earlier, saying that to my whole issue always was, it's not that I wanted therapy for many years before I got therapy, but my whole thing is I had to learn to get over the stigmatism that
Hmm.
there is about therapy, because in urban communities and with minorities and lots of other people, there is this thing that if you go to therapy, something's wrong with you. And I didn't want to have that label. So the thing that would help me, I wouldn't get, because I didn't want other people to think of me as crazy or weird or messed up or whatever it was. But I had to learn that at the end of the day, I'm the one that I need to help myself.
And for me, it was different. Like I never seeked it. I never knew that I needed it. That's the whole point. And yeah, there is the stigma, right? But I didn't really know about it until I started getting therapy, because you start paying more attention to what people around you, family and friends, are saying about people that get therapy, especially if you bring that subject up, right? Just before you tell them. I don't know if you did but I brought up the subject, like, oh my God, what do you guys think about this? And they'll be like, oh my God, no, only crazy people go to therapy. Only people that are losing their minds. I will never do that. I will, I don't need it anyway, but I will never, even if I needed it. And I'm thinking, actually, you do need it. I'm
Yeah.
listening to you talk, and you do need it. But so I will bring it up in that case. But this is something that you were a lot wiser than I was, because therapy for me, like I said before, it was never something that I thought about. something that, oh, it's available for me, right? Because I wasn't broken. So why would I think about therapy, Marlene?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
wasn't broken at all. I was perfect. I was dealing with all of the issues I had, the abandonment issue, the fears, the SA issue, a lot of issues that I had, I had them under control according to me. So
Hmm.
I never even thought of, what, let me go seek some help to help me deal with these demons that I'm dealing with on a daily basis. As I became a mom, it's pretty much at the same time I started going to school. As I started doing that, is when you start going through those therapy sessions and you start realizing, oh my God, you know what? I am broken. I am putting all of these fears and all these doubts and everything on my kids, right? Because you know, subconsciously, you know that certain things that you do around your kids are wrong. When you have a fearful of something, or when you sometimes, if you don't see them around you, you start panicking. So all of those things, there's something wrong with you because you act that way, but you don't really understand it until you start working on yourself.
Hmm.
So once I did that and I started seeing how much better, I was around my kids, how much more calm, cool, and collected I was, regardless of what the situation was, I started seeing that, I'm feeling better. I am better.
Right.
But it took many years of work, of hard work on myself, in order for me to come to the point of realizing that I, first of all, admitting to myself that I was broken. And I know that's a word that a lot of people use, broken. What is broken? I know that a lot of us use it, right? And a lot of people probably think that our arm is broken, our leg is broken. No, we're broken inside, in our heads. We're all over the place, which is why we use that word. We're hurting everywhere, right? Which is why, I guess a lot of times we use that broken word so that people can understand the pains that we had, right? Even though they're not physical, they're mental, you know.
Yeah, and I will add to that. A lot of times the pain that you were feeling before you went to therapy, and the reason why you were suffering, all of it could be ended. And that's one of the things that I started to get into. If you don't get help, I know it doesn't sound good, but that's the reason why some people get into having certain vices, like
Hmm.
the drinking, the drugs,
Yeah.
the sex addictions, because you have to have something that helps you to cope with that pain, right?
Hmm.
So everybody chooses something different. And me, mine wasn't any of those things. My coping mechanism was more work, because if I was at work, I wouldn't have to think about it. And I
Hmm.
was like, it's a win-win. You work, you make money, but also you're broken, but you're just broken at work instead of
Yes. You're
so
not.
it's all of those things.
And Marlene, going back to the drugs and all of those things, but think about that. Some people do get into that. They go through that, but at the end, what helps them get out of all of those things is therapy.
Mhm.
Going to fix, because you have to fix what is bothering you in the inside. You have to fix what either, even if it's somebody else that did it for you, right? That broke you into whatever you have turned out to be. But you have to fix that. You cannot just say, you know what, I've survived this long, I'm okay. You know what, there's nothing wrong with me. I've seen people that are really bad, really messed up. Those need to go to therapy. Like, let's not say things like that, because the life that we have, Marlene, you and I, and the life that we lead now after therapy, it's a glorious life.
Yes. So I'm gonna share a few of the things that, like, how my life changed so dramatically. One of the main things that I will say is that I've always been a pretty shy person. I've never been a person like life of the party, like extremely outgoing. I've always been kind of reserved and to myself. And I think therapy helped me to know the balance. It's nothing wrong with being quiet and all those things, but you can't make, if somebody is not treating you right, you have to learn to speak up for yourself, and you have to learn about boundaries and all of those things. So that helped me so much, that it's nothing wrong with being quiet, but it, when you let people use you and you don't make boundaries, and then you get upset because there's no boundaries. And I learned that if you don't make boundaries, other people will make them for you. So
Uh, yeah,
yeah.
for me, I'm not per se shy. I'm a very friendly person, but I've said this to you before. I was over friendly, right? I was always like, like, hi everybody, hi, no matter what was happening, always that shining smile there, like everything is okay, everything is perfect. I'm a ray of sunshine. Even if I had a cloud dragging behind me, right? I was always that positive, that I had to be the one that everybody sought out to come to for help, or that it was happy regardless of what the situation was in her life. I've always had reservations when it comes to friends, though. I don't befriend people that easily. I mean, what I can call friends. I'm sorry. I have acquaintances. I've said this before, but friends, I'm not really that type of person. I have a handful of friends that I've had for years, and they those are my friends. And a new friendship that I'm forming, around here. But so I've always had that smile, like that forced smile, that instead of crying, Marlene, you force that smile on your face. That's the type of person I was. I don't like confrontation. So, and I don't like to ask people for help. You always say, a closed mouth doesn't get fed, or something like that.
Hmm. Yes.
Whenever you say that, I think about me, because that's how I was. I will not say anything regardless of the needs I had for either more attention, or better communication for my romantic partner and I, right, my husband and I. Better communication maybe with other people, the immediate family. Like, I wouldn't say anything, and sometimes even if they bothered me in some way or did something that bothered me, I wouldn't voice it, my needs and wants. I wasn't very comfortable at that. I am now, right? But I
Mhm.
wasn't very comfortable back then.
Yeah, and you know what I think it was, is because we didn't love ourselves yet. And even if we will say to ourselves that we loved ourselves, we didn't love ourselves enough or fully. Because once you love yourself, you will do things a lot of times that will make you, that are uncomfortable, but you'll do it because you know it's going to help you to grow and mature and be happy, and and not be as negative, or help you with having a focused mindset. Because my issue was, for a long time, that I could never complete tasks. I was always procrastinating and could never complete things. But once I went to therapy, I found out the reason why I couldn't complete anything, because of an issue that happened to me when I was like 8 years old. And
Hmm.
somebody said something to me, and I didn't know, all that time I have been holding on to that.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Marlene. Those are the things that I'm talking about. Is that I the same thing for me. Of course, we could say, you know, every day, every half an hour, I love myself. I love myself. Oh my God, look at me. I'm like so smart. I love myself. But that's just saying it. It's not feeling it. I didn't feel like I loved myself until I started working on myself. That's when I felt that, okay, now I really love myself. I'm not just saying it. I'm actually embracing it and doing it because I love myself. But I didn't get to that point until I started therapy.
Mhm.
Saying it is one thing, you can say it, until the cows come home. But if you don't mean it, then it has exactly that, no meaning.
Yeah, and I think that that's what it is I had to learn, well, for me, I had to learn to stop sugarcoating my life, like trying to pretend that I was okay and I knew that I wasn't. And
It,
for a
it,
long, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, no, no. I'm sorry, Marlene. I'm sorry. You go ahead. Go ahead.
And for a long time, I had allowed myself to believe a lie because if the people that you're around, if you're not around people who are supportive and encouraging and loving and nurture you to be happy, I had for so long got used to getting terrible treatment. I just got used to being taken advantage of and being disrespected till it became a norm for me. And anybody who needs to hear that, that's not how it's supposed to be.
Exactly. That is not normal. And the same one for me, Marlene. It's not maybe the disrespected per se, because my family, we don't use certain words. We're always trying to be respectful to one another, but I found myself being taken advantage of by the people that are supposed to love me the most, right? That person only called me when she needed it something. It could go on for weeks without a word, months. But if there was a letter or a bill that she wanted to for me to read or take care of, or medication or doctor's appointment, that's when that person will call me. And I will be so happy because she called me, right? I was thinking, oh my God, this is a positive thing. Now we're talking. She calls me, and I started therapy, and I started working on all of myself, on my mental health, my emotional health, and my to have the ability to speak up, to say when something bothered me. I started noticing all the patterns that wait a minute, this person can go on for 3-4 weeks. Let me check and see when was the last time I talked to her. And yeah, it was a month and a half ago, on the time that she wanted me to make the doctor's visit, or the time she wanted me to look at that bill, or the time she wanted me to look at a statement, right? And I started saying, no, 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 maybe that's just a coincidence. It's probably just all in my head. But I brought it up to the attention of my therapist, and he's like, well, what do you think? How does it feel for you? What sense does it make to you? And I said, well, I feel like this person only calls me when she needs something. He says, okay, you go with your first instinct. If that's what you feel and it's only the time, then that's exactly what it is. He says, you have to trust what you're feeling. You have to trust what you're sensing. You have to trust. He says, that's a form of you embracing who you are and getting put back together again. You have to embrace all these things. Don't discount that little voice that is inside of you saying, I don't think this is right. Do not discount that. Embrace it, look into it, dissect it, and go with your instinct. And
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah, that's so true, Nexie, because a lot of times when we feel a certain way about something and we try to tell ourselves it's not that way because we don't want to believe that about somebody that we love, but that's just what it is and we need to accept it.
exactly, Marlene. But like how when you try to be a people pleaser, but with like I was like that with my family a lot. My immediate family, like my mom, my sisters, my brothers sometimes. And um, you don't have to be like that. That's what I had to learn, that I don't have to be a people pleaser. If they're gonna like me, if they're gonna love me, and they're gonna look for me, they're gonna do it regardless. I have to be me, because I was wasting so much time trying to please these people, and to no avail. There was no, they didn't call me first for something. They will go elsewhere, and I'll find them at a party. And I was like, I just talked to you yesterday. Why didn't you say anything about you coming to the party? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
it's
oh, I'm sorry, Marlene, go for it.
it's okay.
No, so I started saying, you know what, maybe, I have to start trusting this instinct of mine, and what he's saying maybe it's right. I have to start believing that I have the ability to discern when somebody is lying to me, or when somebody doesn't really like me, regardless of blood, linkage. We have to understand that not because they're blood related, they love us, they accept us. And that's the thing, Marlene, that was the hardest for me to accept, because I love everybody that is, that's family. That back then, I loved everybody that was related to me, all of my family members. Oh my God, I was so in love with everybody, trying to please everybody, trying to unite everybody. And I had to learn that that's not something that was going to be a possibility. Maybe not in my lifetime, right? Maybe in my kid's lifetime, but not on mine. And I had to accept that. And that was really hard for me to accept.
Exactly, exactly. Let me acknowledge a word. Hi, the word. Welcome.
Hi, the word.
Uh, and what you're saying is so true, Nexi. For me, I always, it's just the way that I was taught. I was taught that when it's your family, that it's your family over everything. It's your family over how you feel, over how, how much money you have, everything. Whatever your family wants or needs, you have to do that for them, or you're not a good person.
Yeah, it's family over friends, even good friends that I have always been there for you. Sometimes you put family over them. And it's sad, because sometimes you lose really good people that you have around because of those nonsensical beliefs, you know, because family, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be like that. That you're gonna, yeah, some families are, good families. They all support each other. They have happy, gatherings. They're all very good to each other. But that is not the norm. You know, most of the time it's the opposite.
Yes, and I agree with you 100%. And Nexi, it's something that I had to learn that um, because I love my family, quote unquote, that does not mean that they love me. And I feel
Hmm.
for me that took like a few years for me to get my mind wrapped around that, because
Me too.
if that because if that's true, then what happened to all the times that I did this, and this? So it was hard for me to accept that I was taken advantage of, used, manipulated, all of these things. So
Yeah,
I had
same
to work
happened to
on
me.
years of pain.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me, Marlene. It didn't take, it didn't stick right away. It took years for me to get here, And once I did get the fact that, not because, it doesn't mean that because we're family, there is unconditional love. And I mean, blood related, that there is that such a thing as unconditional love, unconditional acceptance, unconditional, what can I say, trust, support. There's no such a thing.
Loyalty.
Loyalty, there you go. I was looking for that one. There's no such a thing as that. Being blood related is just that. Your linkage is just by blood. That doesn't mean that you guys are going to think the same way. It doesn't mean that this person is going to love you just because you are, brother and sister, or sister and sister. It has nothing to do with that. I had to learn that some of my family members love their friends more than they loved us. So I had to get that into my head, and it took me a very long time. And the same went for, my my parents. You have to make, even if you don't like it, you have to learn to understand that not because that person gave birth to you, that doesn't mean that that person loves you unconditionally. Loves you with all her heart. That is there for you 100%. That doesn't mean that. In some cases it does, yes. In most cases, I should say, but in some it doesn't.
Yep. And I have to admit that for I had to learn that family can cause you the most pain, can hurt you so much, because my whole thing is no matter how much times they would hurt me, use me, abuse me, manipulate, take from me, I never would accept that that's what it was. I was just saying, no, that's my family. That's what you're
That's how they are.
supposed to do. No, and I was like, and I learned that no, that's not what family is supposed to do. They're supposed to listen to you, be supportive, be kind to you. You know, be able to lean on them, that you could be happy. It's not always a thing that you have to always be their bank with their hand out, or all kinds of
Hmm.
different
Yeah,
toxic
and that is a
behaviors.
harsh lesson to learn. I don't know if it was for you, Marlene, but for me, that was a really hard lesson to learn. That not because there are families, we have to support them. We have to, do everything for them. We have to. It's not that we have to. It has to be a want, right? Okay, I want to do this for them. And that's what my therapist said. They're family by blood, yes, but how many friendships do you have that are just they're your family by heart, because they respect you,
Yeah,
because they love you, because they help you, because they're always there for you, because they're loyal to you. So
yeah,
because they are blood related doesn't mean that they're gonna be all of that.
yeah.
And to learn to
Yeah.
say nope, not this time, that was hard
Mhm.
for me. But once I learned it, Marlene, very
Yeah.
easy.
Once you learned it, that was it. Yeah, it's like you got a boost, a charge in your arm. Hmm.
It was so easy. Not even let him finish. Nope. But I haven't finished. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna do it. But you don't even know. Okay, let me see. You need money for something that somebody else did to you, and now you're coming to me because I'm the last person that that you count on, and I'm gonna give it to you. Am I close enough? Or do you want to borrow something from me? Because I have it and you need it right now, and everybody else that you ask for doesn't want to let you borrow it. Well, exactly. So I said no. No means no.
Yeah. Yeah, and I already said, like, when like when you first start going to therapy, like you really get your power. So it's like I was like saying no to everything. They're like, no, don't be off balance now and say no to everything. Whereas before you said yes, you have to. I was like, nope, no, no, everything was no. So I had to learn that sort of balance as well. And this comment by the word, he says, I guess I focus on the positive people in the family. The more I think about it, everyone I got hurt by was family, but the good outweighs the bad. So I roll with the good. And I can understand that. But for me personally, the people that I had around me was all negative. There wasn't any, I didn't have not even one
Hmm.
person around me that was a positive source. So I didn't have anything to outweigh. Everything was all bad, all toxic. So I had to, I had to learn to, either I save myself or I'm going to get swept under the undercurrent. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's the thing. Like I had, my dad, my sisters that were the positive force in my life. They've always been very understanding, very caring, very respectful. But there were others in my family that didn't at all, give me any of those things that I just mentioned. And I continue to insist on having them in my life. And I had to learn that, no, a positive and a negative, it's not gonna, if it doesn't click, if it hasn't clicked yet, it's not going to. Your waste is it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
So I
And
had to
my,
learn to let go and make. I'm sorry, Marlene. Go ahead.
oh no.
Oh no, I was saying, I had to kind of like you said, I had to balance it out, right? Okay, which one, who do I want to keep that it's gonna be able to, um, understand what I'm going through, understand the changes, who I think will support me At the end, Marlene, weighing that, pros and cons, I came to just my father and my sisters, and and a handful of friends that were there from the beginning of my therapy to this day.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah. For me is I had to learn that me being nice, me people pleasing, me doing what I was supposed to do doesn't mean other people in my life were going to do the same. And that was a hard concept for me because I always have been a very kind, loving, respectful person, but I wasn't getting matched the same energy. So I had to learn to not waste my energy on people that were using, manipulating, or only wanted to be around me for what they could get.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And that's the thing, that when you go through therapy and you become more understanding of your likes and dislikes, right? Of your wants and don't wants. You start to learn that, to see the difference between the two, right? You start to see people. I don't know if this happened to you as well, Marlene. I'm pretty sure it did. You start seeing people for the brokenness they have as well. And you start
yeah,
saying, I don't know. I'm coming from there. I think I'm going to go back. This is too much for me.
yeah. My whole thing is, I think what helped me the most is learning that while I love them, I can't let myself be sacrificed in order to make. It's like I was doing everything to make them happy, but I was miserable, and that's not fair. To You shouldn't have to sacrifice your happiness in order to make somebody else happy. It should be, I do something to help and aid in your happiness, and you do something to aid in mine. But I felt like it was always just me aiding and making you happy, and I was never getting poured into.
It felt like you against the world, literally. Everybody was doing their own thing, and you were the only one trying to change yourself, to get everybody on board, to please everybody, and nobody else was doing that for you. And it's exhausting. It's very exhausting.
Yeah, it is so exhausting. And I think that it's to a point, honestly, where you put up with things until you actually just can't anymore. And
Hmm.
that's where I was. I got to the top of my ceiling, and I was like, I'm about to drown. And like I said, if I didn't go to therapy, I am 100% positive I would not be here right now. I'm positive. If I
Thank
didn't
God
go to
for
therapy
therapy.
7 years ago, I'm positive I would not be alive right now.
Thank
Positive.
thank God that you did. And that's something that we have to be grateful for, that you got the help that you needed. You seeked it, you got it, and you embraced it, because some people don't embrace it, and which is why it doesn't work for them. They
Hmm.
fear what they're gonna find out. They fear they're gonna find out how broken they really are, and they fear that, so they don't embrace it, and it doesn't work for them. It's because of that, because they don't embrace it.
Hmm. Yeah,
So this
that's that's
is
that's one of the things. So, Nexie,
yes.
you have to be at a space in your life where you're ready to embrace it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was saying, I wanted for a long time to get help and to have a different life and to feel 100% empowered and all of those things. I've been wanting that for years, but I wasn't at a space in my life where I had the right attitude. I wasn't ready to be accountable. I didn't have the enough accountability to say to myself, "You did part of that. That wasn't all 100% that. That was you too." So I had to get to a space in my life where I was actually mature enough to look at myself and say, "Marlene, you did that too. Remember?"
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. You have to look at yourself in that, um, what do they call, like, the imaginary mirror, right? And say,
Mhm.
okay, I have done all of this. I have created this chaos too. It's not just them. The majority of fault is on me because I can only control me. So if I would have not allowed these people to do this or this to go this far, it would have never gone this far. So the majority of that's how I felt. The majority of this thing I have caused it. I have created. So I have to change and take control of me.
Yeah, and that is so hard. That is so hard to
Yes.
do. I was like, it can't be all me. And then my therapist is looking at me with a pen, like, it's not all you. And she said, yes. And I was like, yes, it's all me. You know, like the dog when they put their ears back. I was like, yes, it's me.
Yeah, the inability to say no, the inability to say, no, this is my time, this is my space, this is my money, the inability to say no, it's what gets you in trouble sometimes because you want to, people please all over the place, and you can't, you learned as you go through therapy that it's impossible. And when you say there's nothing wrong with me, I'm fine, I don't need therapy, I just,
Yeah, I'm
when you say
good.
that
You know,
is,
I was like, I'm good.
I
I'm chilling. You know, that's what I used to say. All the, I'm good over here. Yeah, I'm chilling. And inside, honestly, inside, I was dying. Literally, I was in
mm,
so much pain and sadness and hurt that I was
mm-hmm.
carrying. That I wanted to put on this facade to everyone because, of course, you can fool everybody else, but you can't fool yourself.
And that's when, that hits the fan, is when you cannot fool yourself. That's when you rush to get the help you need. Not
Mhm.
before. It's until that hits the fan that you say, oh my God, it's me. I'm broken.
Mhm.
I'm the one that is wrong. I'm the one that has caused all this. So until you get there, and if you don't embrace it because you're fearful of that, I think that, that's a mistake. You have to have the patience and the open mindedness of, you know, going in and receiving what all the gifts that you're going to get from that.
Yeah, and I think that's the hardest part is that, you know, I never said from the beginning of this conversation is almost my entire time of going through therapy, nobody in my family knew I was in therapy.
Yeah, you
I
said
kept
that
it. I
before.
kept it. I kept it all to myself because I wanted to allow myself to have that experience without people saying, "Oh, you're crazy," or "That's weird." I said, "This is the first time in my life that I'm doing something. It's not for my siblings, my parents. This is not for nobody but me. So I
Yeah,
don't want to hear what nobody else has to say."
you wanted to do it without the criticism. I get it. Yep, I get it. When I was going through it and doing it, they didn't know anything because it was part of my schooling, so they had no idea. They only saw the change that took place right after I was done with it, but they didn't see the reason. They didn't know the reason why.
Yep.
Am I okay with that? Now I say it, to the four winds. Yes, I did get therapy, and yes, every time I need it, I go back and I get it because it worked for me. It works. It works. It's just that some of us sometimes we're fearful,
Yeah.
to look in that imaginary mirror.
Yeah, and I think most of us are fearful, but it's just because we have not put in the work in ourselves. And I
Hmm.
think once you start working with strengthening your mindset, your love for yourself, believing in yourself, and you stop giving into the fears of yourself and the fears of other people, then you're able to do what is good and best for you and not what is good and best to please other people who you claim that you love. Because if you have people in your life that actually do love you, they're going to want you to improve and get better and be better.
And that's, I think, the biggest for me. I think the biggest fear. No, I shouldn't say fear. Yeah, it was fear, Marlene. I think it was fear. when I first went in, that I was trying to get my hours right. When I went in, the and we sat down and everything, and like I said, we were talking. He wasn't doing much, but the biggest fear for me was, it's a waste of time. I'm wasting my time. What am I doing? My family doesn't do these things. We don't believe in this. I don't, maybe I don't need it, right? Maybe, I've been okay this whole time. Maybe I can go on, maybe just get some pointers and, you know what I mean? Like, and just, but I need the hours. That's what I was thinking. Like, I need the hours. But I was very fearful when I was in that office. At one point, I felt, and I don't know if you, if you went through this, but I felt like he could see through me. I don't know how else to explain it, but I felt like if I was lying or whatever, like he could see through my lies. He could see through what I was saying, and then like I was transparent. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. And for me, I can say next to that, my whole thing was I thought that I could fool my therapist. I thought I could be like, give him a whole storyline of everything, and she would look down at me at her glasses and just start writing, like, when are you going to tell me the truth? She's like, if you can't tell me the truth, then I can't help you.
Yeah, no, like I said, I didn't, like I said, I didn't know I was. All I went there for was to do that, right? To get right with the school, and just to get him. So I thought, maybe we're just gonna talk, like an hour, get some food,
Mm-hmm.
pretend we're doing something in his office. You know what I mean? Like, nothing. Like, because like I told him since the very beginning, I was raised by my dad, and my mom is out of the picture, so it's not problem. There's I'm okay. Look at me. I'm saying it without crying. That means I'm okay.
Oh, that's what you thought.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, I
I
told
go
him
in.
that. I said, Marlene, I told him that. I said, so your mom left, huh? And I was like, yeah, 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 yeah. But wait, don't give me that your mom left look and start writing. I said, I'm
Yeah,
okay. I can say it to you without crying. What does that tell you? That I'm okay with it.
yeah, that I'm so strong. Look at me, I'm so strong.
His eyebrows got raised up and he looked at me. He's like, okay, she's okay. I'm like, what are you writing?
Mm.
What are you putting
Well,
down
I
in the,
told
oh, you're
I,
putting down that I'm okay?
I told you when I went to therapy. I went to therapy because I said I wanted for her to give me the tools so I could help my family because they were the messed up ones. And that's when she started writing, like, I think smoke came off of that tablet. She was just like like screeching tires.
No, yeah, that's exactly, no. All I remember was those eyebrows. He had really thick eyebrows, and they just raised up. I think they went all the way up to the forehead and back of the head. Oh, so you're without crying. You're saying it without crying. That means you're okay with it. I say, yeah, I'm fine. Okay now. And he started writing. I'm like, what are you writing? Oh, I say you
Hmm.
need to keep, and this is me. Oh, you need to keep records so that they think that we're working. Oh, okay, I get it. I get it. And he just looked at me like, wow, you're lost.
Yep, yep.
And the next time, and the next time it will be like, okay, so how are you? I brought a couple of coffees, and I'm here for my hours. I'm sure you are, he will say. I'm sure you are.
Yep.
But I didn't know the meaning of that. I didn't, I didn't know that he was mocking me at that point. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure you are for your hours
Yep.
here. And we will talk, and then from time to time we will get back to the subject of my mom, as he started asking me questions about my family, right, my kids and stuff. And I
Yep.
started going on and on about them, and he's writing, and then he's like, but so how old were you when your mom left? I was like, I already told you I was 5. But I'm okay though. Don't worry about that. That's not the important part. The important part is what I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah. No,
Oh
my thing
man.
is, what I said with my smart self, I'm not paying you for that. I'm here for you to give me the tips so I can help my siblings because they're the one. I was like, look at me. They're the ones that need help. I'm here because I'm the good Samaritan. I'm the good person, and I want to help them because they need help. And she's like, oh, okay. So to help them, I need to find out some more about your story. And I was like, what? That's weird. I was like, okay, but if you need to help, if that's gonna help me to help them, I'm in for it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing though. Like a lot of times you don't even know. Like you don't even know how good they are on what they do. You know, they help you backhanded without you even realizing that that's what they're doing. And it's beautiful
Mm,
because some of us are very reluctant to go, but they help you. And for me is, it's a new, it was like a new day when once I started, going into, oh, so this is serious. I mean, this is something that's happening. So I am in therapy. Once I got to that realization, I was able to open up more. I was able to say more to him, and my fears, or this or that, my life story and everything. So, but until then, and I'm talking years, because that didn't happen like the first few months. Oh no. Mm-mm. Oh no. It took him a long time to get me there. But, it's the best thing I've done for me in my entire life.
yeah, I can say that 100%. The best thing that ever happened to me, and I just don't understand the reason why I did not do it sooner. I know why I didn't do it sooner because I didn't have enough strength within me. And I also was a person that I really needed to check my ego. My ego was in the way, and you know,
My
so
ego
it's all,
was, yep,
yeah.
that's it.
Mhm.
Well, I think we're going to have to do a part two on this one.
I really do. I think it's gonna have to be a part two, so to talk about some other things. So, thank you so much, Nexi. This has been good. We're gonna
Thank you,
stop right
Marlene.
here and pick up again on next week.
Yes, that will be great. I think there's a lot more funny stories we have to discuss. And a lot more in depth that we have to go. But thank you for having me, Marlene. Thank you
And
so much for
you're
waiting for
welcome.
me as well.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into Love Marlene 411, where we have the hard conversations, the tough conversations, and we talk about the 411 that has happened to us in our life without judgments and without any fears. This is a safe space. So thank you so much. If you're
Yes.
new here, hit the subscribe button, like, and share this out on your social media platforms. And thank you so much, Nexi.
Thank you, Marlene. You have a good night.
You too, as well.
Bye, chat.
Bye.